Hi, it's me again with Corel Tips and Tricks. This is a little relatively hard to draw, but if you follow a few steps and take screenshots of that right there, you'll be way ahead of the game. So I'm just going to move this other stuff out of the way. A couple of things you have to do. Take your polygon tool, three-sided, and then let's flip it and hit P, put it in the center of the page. Now I'm going to make it 20 inches across. I don't care about the depth. I want the width. Then what I'm going to do next, I'm going to take a 2-point line, and I'm going to go from that node to that node, and from there to that node, and from there to that node. Okay, I'm going to set my nudge factor on like 25, and I'm going to take my triangle out of the way, and I'm going to group these together because I'm going to use them quite a few times. And I'm also going to make them black. So let's put this back. So if this is 20 inches, we want another triangle, and I'm going to flip it, but I want it 1/5 the size, so I'm going to make it 4 inches. And I'm going to hit P. And then I'm going to shift select the triangle and hit P. Now I'm going to take this triangle, Control D. I can't alternate C because it's not in the center of the page. Well, it is, but as far as Corel thinks that's the center. And I'm going to rotate it 120 degrees and then Control D. Control D, and you have that. I'm going to take my lines out of the way, and I'm going to take a 2-point line and go from that node to that node. And what I'm making is a diamond shape right there. I'm going to take my Smart Fill tool. Matter of fact, I'm going to use a light gray, and I'm going to nudge it out of the way. Let me get my example out of the way. Well, better just to start over with the nudge. Then I'm going to left click, right click, and I'm going to get the contour tool. And I can't really say how big, but I'm going to make it 2 inches. You want it about half the size of the other one. Now what you've got to do is take your Smart Fill tool and fill that in. Okay, let's go ahead and take away. These triangles were just there to get this diamond shape. So I'm just going to get rid of them. And I'm going to put this, nudge this back. I want the fill. I am going to go ahead and put an outline on around it. Whoop, I didn't have it selected because I want to be able to see it. And then I'm going to change my nudge factor to like 1 inch. So remember the 25. I'm going to hit the plus key and move it over. But if you look in this representation, this is backwards. So we need to take that first copy and go up to object order back a page because we want that right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a 2-point line, and I'm going to go from right there to right there, right there to right there. And later on, we're going to need to put some other line, but we'll do that later. Now what I'm going to do is take this. Well, tell you what, let's nudge this. Okay, let me change my nudge factor back to 25. And let's nudge these two items together and put these back. I don't want those lines, particularly in here. I'm going to group these together. You know, I guess I could go ahead and fill that in, but we're going to do that later. Now that's a group. Now, remember these lines? That's going to help us hit the center. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to Control D, double click on the rotation and have it pop to the center. And I'm going to rotate it 240 degrees and put it up there. All right, now we can get rid of, don't get rid of them, just move them. Now, if you look in the next kind of graphic, there's 2 lines from that edge to that edge. I just basically freehand this with the 3-point curve tool. So I'm going to get the 3-point curve tool. I'm going to go from there to there, and I'm going to put a curve on it. I kind of want it on that line. We can adjust them later. I'm going to go from there to there and try to keep the same thickness of line. I'm way off on I'm going to get my shape tool, and I'm just going to move that up to there. Now I really want that line more kind of like on that line. So we're going to take this line and kind of mimic that same. It's pretty close. I don't even think I'd care anything about it. Now I'm going to put another 2-point line right here. And that's going to stop that color. I think I'm pretty good. You know what I'm going to do is take my shape tool, grab that line, and have it go along. I want it along that line a little more, at least at the start. I'm going to zoom in here. See, my handle's way up there. That's the only problem. I'm just going to kind of kick it back and look at it. That's pretty good. That's good enough. You can always adjust stuff. Now I'm going to take my Smart Fill tool. I'm going to go ahead and use black. And I want to Smart Fill this and nudge it over. Smart Fill that. I want all these parts nudged over. So now I can weld this, and it's all one piece. And I can actually left click, right click. And I can take these lines away. Now I'm going to nudge this back. This is why the nudge is so important. Now we want to draw a 2-point line from there to there. I didn't get the start on the nudge. You need to make sure you're on the node. Then take your pick tool and just expand that line out. Now we want to take a duplicate of this, hit the plus key, grab that 4-sided cross, and put it right there. So that's going to mimic this turn. So let me just kind of look. I guess I didn't keep the other one. I want to make this curve is this curve right here. So what I'm going to do is take the Smart Fill tool, and I'm going to fill that in and nudge it over. Well, nudge it over, nudge it over, nudge it over, nudge that over. And I think I got to go a little bit because I don't have that sharp point, which would be right here. Yep. Now I'm going to weld this together, and I can get rid of these lines. Whoop. And on this one, I'm going to go ahead and fill it in, but I can take away this totally. Now I'm going to take the Smart Fill tool. I'm going to use red just so it kind of stands out. And I'm going to fill in that and that. I should be able to grab those two. You could shift select them, but I got 5 objects selected. So I'm going to go ahead and nudge them. Then I'm going to nudge this back. And I'm going to take these and weld them. Then I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my line and my little bitty line and my other line. And I'm going to move this over. That's kind of the whole key to the whole thing right there. Don't want to do that. I want to grab this and I'm going to group it together. Now I'm going to get my lines back. And I'm going to grab this. Let me zoom in. This is kind of the trickiest part of the whole thing. Control D, double click on the rotation and put it in the center. Rotate it 120 degrees. See how it matches up with that other edge perfectly? So that was just a test to make sure it did it. But what I also want to do now is See, I'm off on my rectangle. My rectangle's not big enough. So I need to change that in my, but for right now, I can fix that later, I'm pretty sure. What I want to do is stop that from leaking. And I'm going to take my smart fill tool. I'm just going to use like green so it shows up. And I'm going to fill that in. And then I can get rid of this. That's a key part of kind of the whole thing right there. And I guess at this time, I can go ahead and take my smart fill tool and fill in these parts and these parts. Now I'm going to, see, there's going to be the problem later maybe. I'm going to nudge these out of the way. And I'm going to weld them. And then I'm going to put an outline. Well, not all the outlines showed up. You know what? Let me back up here. Let me go left click, right click. And let me take away that line because I want those lines. And if you have no interest in making this, I just stop watching because it is a little probably complicated. Okay, now this time, and I'm going to make that line black. And I'm going to go ahead and group that together. And then I'm going to smart fill it. I don't care what color right now. And then I'm going to right click outline. See, there's my lines. Now I can get rid of this. Get rid of this. I can actually get rid of my triangle. Get rid of that little bitty line. I want that center stripe to still be there. Now I'm going to, you know what? I don't need that right there. Let me just take that away. I went too far. That's all I need right there. So maybe if I'll pause for just a second and take a screenshot of that. See, there's going to be that problem later, but we can fix it. Now I'm going to group this together, Control G, and we can always change the color later. I'm going to double click on the rotation and I'm going to put it right there. It says intersection because that's an intersection. I'm going to Control D and make a duplicate and I'm going to rotate it 120 degrees and 120 degrees. Look at that. Now what I would do is take away my X. See, my box just wasn't big enough to begin with, so you can play around with that. But what we can do, we can take the whole thing and left click, no fill, right click outline, and we can fix those spots. I don't really think it matters if it's at an angle. Now I've got it all grouped together. So I'm going to grab the pick tool, Control U for ungroup, or go up here and go to object, group, and ungroup. And there's two ways to fix this. One, you could just take that away. Who's going to know? Take that away. Who's going to know? And should be one more. Kind of hard to see. I mean, the correct way to fill it would be to continue it out. But that just makes a straight line out of it. And well, you know what? You could tell. I can tell from this angle, I can't tell, but from that angle, I can tell. So let me back up a few steps. And let's do it the correct way. Take a 2-point line and just hold down the control button and make that line across there. And then delete that and delete that. The other ones might be a little bit harder because the control button is not going to work. So what we could do is start here. You don't want to do that. Oh, I've got it on tangent. Start here and put it there. And then take this is always a neat trick because it'll extend that line out perfectly. Now just delete that and delete that. And you know, I could probably just rotate that. But I've taken away and we're almost done. I could rotate that line. And the same thing here because we're going at a funny angle. I'm just going to go from there to there, take my pick tool and just expand it out. You can't really just freehand that. All right, we're done. I'm going to bring this one. You know what? Let's take away. I don't think we need those joints. And let's bring this one in for color. Let me just delete those lines. Those lines are really important. Let's do some different colors this time. So all the exterior is one color. Let's just use red. So I'm going to go red. You know what? I'm going to have to weld those together. Let me nudge that out of the way. Red, 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 red. I should be able to weld them all together at one time. I got something else. And weld them together. That way, when I put them back, there's no seam. And then, you know, do anything you want. I'm going to really just play around with the colors. Smart fill tool. And let's put a green on the edges. And then on that one, let's put blue, just to make it kind of stand out. Now, if we look, the reason I had to correct that line is because this hole is a lot bigger than this hole. It's still cool, and you can't really tell any difference, but maybe when you play around with yours, you could figure out the, you know, I almost think it needs a joint there. That could be very easily done. I think it might look better to go from there to there, make it black, make it a little bit thicker than a hairline so it stands out. I think that really helps. Can't remember how big I made it. And then from there, so I shouldn't have taken those points away. And always remember how big you made it. Like that one's 2. I think this one's only 1.5 or 1, so I'm going to make it 2. And then see, this is probably 1.5, so make it 2. Kind of make them all the same. Pretty cool project. It's pretty involved. Yeah, maybe not so much the line, but the good thing about it, you could Control G to group that, and you could spin it around and have it, you know, like that angle, and it'll look just as cool. Anyway, not sure that helped you, but maybe gave you an idea or two. I really like the gray one. It just doesn't stand out like that one does. Anyway, hope that helped just a little bit, and thank you for watching.